What if Goku was the Saiyan who became the true Omni-King? Goku x Vados x Android 18. Chapter 1. Cosmic Convergence. The universe trembled, not metaphorically. Actual ripples of disturbance pulsed through the fabric of reality, sending quantum particles scattering in patterns never before witnessed by even the most ancient celestial beings. In the sacred Om that existed beyond the 12 universes, the palace of the Omni-King shuddered. Crystalline pillars that had stood undisturbed for eons developed hairline fractures. The eternal light that bathed the realm in perpetual dawn flickered momentarily, casting shadows where none had existed before. Zeno, the childlike deity who held absolute power over existence itself, paused mid-gesture as he played with miniature galaxy replicas. His wide eyes narrowed in an expression rarely seen on his face, confusion. The Grand Minister, hovering nearby, felt it too, a sensation beyond wrongness, a fundamental shift in the cosmic equation. Something approaches, the Grand Minister whispered, his normally composed voice carrying an edge of disquiet. Something that should not be. Zeno tilted his head, stars reflecting in his pupilless eyes. I don't like it, he said simply, his childish tone belying the weight of those words. When the Omni-King disliked something, universes could vanish with a gesture. Before the Grand Minister could respond, the palace walls dissolved, not destroyed, but temporarily phased out of existence. Through the void stepped a figure wrapped in flowing garments that seemed woven from the very fabric of space-time. Where the being's face should have been, only a swirling nebula of colors existed. The balance, the entity spoke, its voice somehow echoing forward and backward through time simultaneously, requires adjustment. The Grand Minister moved to intervene, but found himself frozen, not by force but by the sheer impossibility of the situation. No Tai should have been able to enter this realm uninvited. No power should have exceeded Zeno's absolute authority. Zeno stood, toys forgotten. Who are you? He demanded, raising a tiny hand that could erase multiverses. I am Equilibrium, the entity responded, and you, little god, have maintained an imbalance for too long. The cosmic scales require a guardian who understands both power and its cost. Before either Zeno or the Grand Minister could react, the entity extended a limb that spiraled through dimensions. Your time concludes. Another's begins. A flash of light brighter than a million quasars erupted. And when it faded, where Zeno had stood was nothing but empty space. The Grand Minister fell to his knees, a sensation he had never experienced in his countless millennia of existence. What have you done? He gasped. Initiated correction, Equilibrium stated. Find the one called Kakarot. The Saiyan who was raised as Earth's son Goku. The balance has chosen him. With those words, the entity dispersed into particles of light that seeped into the very walls of the palace before vanishing entirely. The Grand Minister remained motionless, processing implications that rippled across all timelines. The most powerful being in existence had been removed, and a mortal, albeit an extraordinary one, had been named successor. The cosmic order had been irrevocably altered. Half a universe away, on the small blue planet that had repeatedly proven itself the nexus of extraordinary events, Son Goku launched himself into the air, the familiar rush of battle singing through his veins. Training grounds carved into the mountains outside his home bore the scars of countless previous sessions, but today felt different. The air itself seemed charged with unusual energy. Come on, Vegeta, Goku called, his orange GI flapping in the wind as he hovered. I know you're holding back. The Saiyan prince scowled from his position on the ground, arms crossed over his battle armor. Observant for once, Kakarot. I'm conserving energy because something's wrong with the atmospheric conditions. You'd notice if you weren't so obsessed with throwing punches. Goku paused, Hi's perpetual smile fading as he extended his senses beyond the immediate surroundings. Vegeta was right. There was a strange vibration permeating everything, subtle but unmistakable to those attuned to energy signatures. Goku descended slowly, landing beside his rival with uncharacteristic caution. It feels like everything's waiting for something. Eloquent as always, Vegeta snorted, but his eyes remained serious. This isn't natural. It reminds me of. The prince never finished his sentence. A column of light erupted from the clear sky, engulfing Goku before either warrior could react. Vegeta lunged forward but was repelled by an invisible barrier that separated him from his fellow Saiyan. Inside the pillar of energy, Goku remained perfectly still, not from constraint but from awe. The light wasn't blinding despite its intensity, instead, it seemed to reveal rather than obscure. Goku found himself perceiving layers of reality he'd never imagined existed. He could sense every living being on Earth simultaneously, not just their ki, but their emotions, connections, histories. "What's happening to me?" he whispered, watching as golden energy began to flow through his veins, visible beneath his skin like luminescent rivers. A voice answered, not audible, but directly impressed upon his consciousness. "You have been selected, Son Goku. The role of universal arbiter requires one who understands power but cherishes life. One who has risen beyond limitations repeatedly. One who comprehends the heart of a mortal and the responsibility of a god." Asterisk. Goku tried to move but found himself suspended in the moment. "I don't understand. I'm just a fighter who wants to protect my friends and family." "Precisely." Asterisk. The voice resonated. "That is why the balance has chosen you." Asterisk. The light intensified, and Goku felt knowledge pouring into him. Countless languages, the histories of civilizations long extinct, the birth and death of stars, the intricate rules that governed existence itself. His mind expanded to accommodate information that would have shattered a lesser consciousness. Outside the column, Vegeta watched in astonishment as Goku's form began to change. The transformation wasn't physical in the traditional sense. His friend's appearance remained largely the same, but an aura of authority and ancient power emanated from him, reminiscent of beings like the Grand Priest or the gods of destruction. Yet distinctly different. "Kakarot!" Vegeta shouted, pounding against the barrier. "Fight it! Whatever's happening, resist!" Inside the column, Goku heard Vegeta's voice as if from a great distance. For perhaps the first time in his life, Son Goku wasn't fighting. This wasn't an enemy to be defeated or a power to be resisted, it was something far more profound. "I accept," Goku said simply, instinctively understanding what was being offered and demanded of him. The pillar of light expanded outward in a shockwave that knocked Vegeta back several hundred feet. When the prince regained his footing and the dust settled, Goku stood in a small crater, his GI now shimmering with subtle iridescence, his eyes holding depths that hadn't existed moments before. "Kakarot!" Vegeta approached cautiously. "What happened to you?" Goku looked at his hands, flexing his fingers experimentally. "I'm still me, Vegeta," he said, his voice unchanged yet somehow carrying greater weight. "But also, more." Quote. Before Vegeta could demand further explanation, space itself tore open beside them, forming a portal of swirling energy. Through it stepped the tall, dignified form of the Grand Minister. His staff clutched tightly in hands that trembled almost imperceptibly. "Son Goku," the celestial being said, bowing his head slightly, a gesture he had never before offered to a mortal. "The multiverse stands at a precipice. I must speak with you immediately regarding your ascension." Vegeta's eyes widened. "Ascension? What is he talking about, Kakarot?" Goku turned to his friend, a complexity of emotions crossing his face that the typically straightforward Saiyan rarely displayed. "I think," he said slowly, "I've just become the new Omni-King." In Universe 6, within the Grand Palace that served as residence and training ground for Champa, god of destruction, Vados stood perfectly still, her staff suddenly illuminating with rapid pulses of light. The tall, blue-skinned angel had been in the middle of preparing Champa's evening meal, an elaborate feast that would have fed a small planet, when the cosmic disruption reached her consciousness. "Impossible," she whispered, her melodic voice carrying through the cavernous dining hall. Champa, corpulent and eternally irritable, looked up from where he'd been impatiently awaiting his food. "What's impossible?" "That you've finally learned to cook properly." Vados didn't respond to the jab, her attention focused entirely on interpreting the message being transmitted through her staff, the direct line of communication between angels and the highest celestial authority. "Lord Champa," she finally said, her composed demeanor showing the slightest crack of uncertainty, "there has been an unprecedented development. Zeno-sama is gone." "Gone," Champa repeated, purple ears twitching in alarm as he heaved himself to his feet. "What do you mean, gone? The Omni-King can't just disappear." "Nevertheless, he has," Vados replied, studying the complex patterns of light emanating from her staff. "And it appears a replacement has been named." Champa's eyes bulged. Replacement. That's not. Who could possibly? Son Goku. Vados stated, a hint of disbelief coloring her typically serene tone. The Saiyan from Universe 7. For perhaps the first time in his existence as a destroyer, Champa was rendered completely speechless. When he finally recovered, his voice emerged as barely more than a squeak. The fighting-obsessed mortal who irritates my brother so much. That Goku. Vados nodded once, her pale blue features composed but thoughtful. I am being summoned to the Omni-King's palace immediately, along with all other angels. I suspect the Grand Minister will explain the situation. I'm coming with you, Champa declared, his massive body already glowing with destructive energy in preparation for instantaneous movement. That would be unwise, Vados countered. This transition may be volatile. The palace is no place for a destroyer at present. Champa opened his mouth to argue but thought better of it. Even he knew better than to insert himself into cosmic politics at such a delicate moment. Fine, he grumbled, but you'll tell me everything the instant you return. Vados inclined her head slightly. Of course, Lord Champa. With that, she vanished, traveling rough dimensions at speeds comprehensible only to celestial beings. As she moved, she found her thoughts unexpectedly turbulent. In all her eons of existence, the cosmic hierarchy had remained unchanged. Angels served the gods of destruction, who maintained universal balance under Zeno's absolute authority. And now a mortal, albeit an exceptional one, had been elevated to the highest position in existence. The implications were staggering. The proper distance between mortals and divine beings had been fundamental to universal order. What's more, Vados had met this particular mortal. Son Goku was powerful, certainly, and possessed an unusual purity of purpose. But he was also impulsive, battle-hungry, and charmingly naive about matters beyond fighting. How could such a being possibly govern existence itself? As she approached the palace that existed beyond conventional space and time, Vados noticed something unusual. The eternal realm, typically bathed in soft, unchanging light, now pulsed with energy that seemed almost alive. The very walls shimmered with patterns that hadn't existed before, as though the fabric of the Omni-King's domain was reorganizing itself. Inside, she found her fellow angels already gathered, their faces showing varying degrees of concern, an emotion rarely displayed by their kind. Her sister Margarita noticed her arrival and moved closer. Have you sensed it? Margarita asked without preamble. The shift in balance. Yes, Vados replied, but not the cause. Something intervened, Margarita whispered. Something beyond even Zeno's authority. Before Vados could respond, the Grand Minister appeared at the center of the gathering. Unlike his usual composed self, he looked distinctly troubled. My children, he addressed the assembled angels, we face an unprecedented situation. An entity calling itself Equilibrium has removed Zeno-sama and designated the Saiyan known as Son Goku as his successor. Murmurs broke out among the angels, a rare occurrence in itself. Father, Whis stepped forward, is this entity a threat we must address? The Grand Minister shook his head slightly. The entity has already departed, seemingly satisfied with its intervention. More pressing is the matter of Son Goku himself. He has received Zeno's power but not his knowledge or experience. I will be bringing him here shortly, and I require all of you to help him transition. Vados found herself speaking before she'd fully formed the thought. With respect, Father, a mortal cannot possibly comprehend the complexities of overseeing existence. The very foundations of reality could collapse. The Grand Minister turned his gaze to her, and for an instant, Vados glimpsed something she'd never seen in her father's eyes before, uncertainty. Your concern is noted, Vados, he said, and it is precisely because of these concerns that I am assigning you specifically to guide Son Goku directly. Your analytical mind and extensive knowledge make you best suited to prepare him for his new role. Vados blinked, the only outward sign of her surprise. Me, Father, wouldn't Whis be more appropriate, given his existing relationship with the Saiyan? That familiarity is precisely why another angel must take the lead, the Grand Minister explained. Whis has grown, fond of Son Goku and his companions. We need objective guidance now, not friendship. Vados inclined her head in acceptance, though internally she was already calculating the implications. Direct service to the Omni-King was the highest honor an angel could receive, but also potentially the greatest challenge. Especially with such an unconventional successor. I will bring Son Goku here within the hour, the Grand Minister continued. Prepare yourselves. The multiverse stands at a turning point. And our actions now will echo through eternity. As the gathering dispersed, Vados remained still, contemplating what she knew of the Saiyan who was now, inexplicably, the most powerful being in existence. Their few interactions had left her with impressions of boundless determination and a peculiar innocence that seemed at odds with his warrior nature. Troubled, sister. Whis appeared beside her, his usually jovial expression subdued. Concerned for the structural integrity of reality itself, Vados replied dryly. Son Goku is Omni-King, it defies all cosmic principles. Whis tapped his staff thoughtfully against the crystalline floor. Perhaps that's precisely the point. The principles themselves may require revision. Vados raised an elegant eyebrow. You sound dangerously close to supporting this chaos, brother. Not chaos, Whis corrected. Evolution. Goku has repeatedly transcended limitations thought absolute. Perhaps the cosmos itself recognizes something in him that we've overlooked. Or perhaps, Vados countered, an unknown entity has destabilized universal governance for purposes we cannot fathom. Whis smiled slightly. Either way, sister, your role is clear. Guide him, and perhaps keep an open mind. You might be surprised. With that, he departed, leaving Vados alone with her thoughts and a growing sense that the carefully ordered existence she had known for millions of years was about to change irrevocably. On Earth, chaos reigned of a different sort. News of Goku's transformation had spread quickly among the Z fighters, leading to an emergency gathering at Capsule Corporation. The Grand Minister had departed temporarily to prepare the Omni-King's palace, leaving Goku to explain the inexplicable to his friends and family. Let me get this straight, Bulma said, pacing across the polished floor of her laboratory, blue hair disheveled from repeatedly running her fingers through it. You're now essentially the god of all gods. The being that even the gods of destruction fear. Goku sat somewhat awkwardly on a reinforced chair, still adjusting to the sensation of omniscience that threatened to overwhelm his consciousness. That's what the Grand Minister said. Though honestly, I don't feel that different. Just more aware of everything. Everything, being the entire multiverse, Piccolo observed from his position against the wall. Arms crossed over his chest. Goku, do you realize what this means? The responsibility you now hold. Goku's expression grew uncharacteristically serious. I do, Piccolo. I can feel it. Every living being, every planet, every universe, they're all connected to me now. It's like sensing ki, but on a scale I never imagined possible. Vegeta, who had been silently fuming in the corner, finally exploded. This is absurd. Kakarot can barely manage his own household, and now he's supposed to govern all of existence. The cosmic order has gone mad. That's not fair, Vegeta. Gohan defended his father, though his scholarly mind was clearly struggling to process the implications. Dad has saved the universe multiple times. If anyone has proven themselves worthy of trust with power, this isn't about trust, Vegeta cut in. It's about capability. Being Omni-King isn't just about having power, it's about understanding the complex balance of creation and destruction across 12 universes. Goku listened to the debate raging around him, but found his attention increasingly divided. With each passing minute, his awareness expanded further. He could sense civilizations rising and falling on distant planets, the birth of stars in remote galaxies, the intricate dance of cosmic forces maintaining reality itself. And something else, a dissonance. A wrongness rippling through the fabric of existence. Something's happening, he interrupted, rising to his feet. The casual movement carried unexpected consequences. Gravity around him briefly distorted, causing everyone in the room to float momentarily before he hastily corrected the effect. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Goku, you need to be careful, Bulma cautioned, smoothing down her lab coat after regaining her footing. Your every action has universal consequences now. I know, Goku acknowledged, rubbing the back of his head in his characteristic gesture. The familiar movement, chi was somehow reassuring to everyone present, a sign that despite his ascension, their friend remained himself at core. But that's not what I meant. There's a disturbance somewhere, everywhere. I can feel it, As if summoned by his words, a violent tremor shook the building. Outside, the sky darkened unnaturally, swirling with colors that had no place in Earth's atmosphere. "What the hell is that?" Krillin exclaimed, rushing to the window with the others. Above West City, reality itself seemed to be cracking. Fissures of golden light spread across the sky like jagged lightning, but instead of disappearing, they remained, widening to reveal glimpses of other worlds, other times, other dimensions. "The barriers between universes are weakening," Goku stated with certainty that came from his new cosmic awareness. "Something's trying to break through. Is this because of your transformation?" Chi-Chi demanded, torn between concern for her husband and fear of the cosmic disturbance. Goku shook his head. "No, it's connected to whatever removed the previous Omni-King. I can sense it now. There's an imbalance that's been growing for millennia. My appointment is a response to that imbalance, not its cause." Before anyone could question him further, a new presence materialized in the room. Android 18 appeared at the doorway, her usually impassive face showing rare alarm. "The ocean is boiling 20 miles offshore," she reported crisply. "And Kame House just phased in and out of existence 3 times. Master Roshi is, understandably distressed." Despite the gravity of the situation, several people couldn't suppress small smiles at the understatement. "We need to evacuate civilians from coastal areas," Gohan said immediately, slipping into the protective role he'd assumed during countless previous crises. "There's no time," Goku countered, his voice carrying unfamiliar authority. "And nowhere on Earth would be safe if this continues. I need to address this directly." Android 18 stepped forward, studying Goku with narrowed eyes. "Krillin mentioned something about you becoming some kind of supreme deity. I assumed he was exaggerating." "Wish I was," Krillin sighed. 18's gaze remained fixed on Goku, noting subtle changes in his bearing and the strange luminescence that occasionally shimmered beneath his skin. "So what's the plan? You wave your newly divine hand and fix everything?" "Not exactly," Goku admitted. "I have the power, but not the knowledge to use it precisely yet. One wrong move could make things worse." "Then what good is?" 18 began, but was interrupted by the return of the Grand Minister, who materialized in the center of the room. "Son Goku," the celestial being said urgently, "we must depart immediately. The ascension process has created temporary instabilities in the cosmic framework. Your presence is required at the palace to stabilize the transition." Goku nodded, turning to his gathered friends. "I have to go, but I'll be back as soon as I can. Gohan, Vegeta, Piccolo, protect the Earth while I'm gone." "Goku." Chi-Chi stepped forward, but seemed at a loss for words. "How does one bid farewell to a husband who has just become the ruler of all existence?" Goku's expression softened as he looked at his wife. He gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "I'm still me, Chi-Chi. That won't change, no matter what else does." To everyone's surprise, Android 18 moved closer, her analytic mind clearly processing possibilities others hadn't considered. "The dimensional fractures are spreading geometrically," she observed. "Standard containment won't be effective. You'll need precise data on the disruption patterns to formulate a response." The Grand Minister regarded her with new interest. "Your assessment is correct. The android possesses remarkable computational abilities," he noted to Goku. 18 has always been sharp, Goku agreed. Then, making a decision that surprised even himself, he added, "She should come with us." "What?" multiple voices exclaimed simultaneously. "A mortal in the Omni-King's palace?" the Grand Minister questioned, though his tone held curiosity rather than rejection. "I'm the Omni-King now, right?" Goku responded with uncharacteristic assertiveness. "And 18's analytical abilities could help us understand what's happening faster than if I try to figure it out alone." The Grand Minister considered briefly, then nodded. "An unusual solution, but these are unusual circumstances." "Very well." Android 18 blinked, perhaps the only indication of her surprise. "Fine," she said coolly, moving to stand beside Goku. "Krillin, tell Marin I'll be back soon." Krillin looked uncertainly between his wife and Goku. "Be careful, both of you. Whatever's happening, it feels bigger than anything we've faced before." "It is," the Grand Minister confirmed gravely. "The very fabric of existence is being rewritten. We must act quickly." With a gesture from his staff, a portal opened beside them. revealing glimpses of a realm beyond conventional space and time. Son Goku, Android 18, the fate of all universes now rests in your hands. Goku took one last look at his friends and family, trying to project confidence he wasn't entirely sure he felt. Then, with 18 beside him, he stepped through the portal toward his new role as guardian of all reality. The Omni-King's Pala, CE existed outside conventional space and time, a realm unto itself where the laws of physics bent to accommodate the whims of its ruler. As Goku and Android 18 materialized in the grand entrance hall, both found themselves momentarily overwhelmed by the sheer scale and otherworldliness of their surroundings. Massive columns of opalescent crystal stretched upward beyond visual range, supporting a ceiling that appeared to be a living map of the 12 universes. Paths of solidified starlight wound through gardens where plants from extinct worlds flourished. Fountains flowed with liquid that might have been water, except it occasionally defied gravity to form complex, dancing patterns in midair. "This is excessive," Android 18 commented, her analytical system struggling to categorize what she was seeing. Goku nodded absently, his newfound cosmic awareness resonating with the palace itself. "It's responding to me," he murmured, watching as nearby crystalline structures subtly shifted their configuration. "Like it's alive somehow." "The palace exists as an extension of the Omni-King's consciousness," the Grand Minister explained as he led them deeper into the complex. "It will adapt to your preferences over time." Goku looked dubious. "I don't need all this. A simple training room would be." He stopped mid-sentence as they entered what could only be described as the throne room. Unlike the ornate surroundings, the central chamber featured a stark simplicity that seemed at odds with everything else. At its center floated a single chair, if such a mundane term could apply. Why to the object that served as the seat of universal power? Gathered around the room were 12 tall, elegant figures that Goku recognized as the angels who served the gods of destruction. All bowed deeply as he entered, creating an eerie synchronized movement that reminded him this was not merely a gathering of individuals but of ancient cosmic entities. "The angels of the 12 universes," the Grand Minister announced formally. "Here to pledge service to the new Omni-King." Goku shifted uncomfortably. "That's really not necessary. I'd rather we just talk normally." "Protocol must be observed, particularly during transition periods," came a melodic female voice from among the angels. Vados stepped forward, her tall staff clicking against the crystalline floor. "The multiverse requires certainty of authority, son Goku. Especially now." "Oh, hey Vados," Goku greeted with casual familiarity that caused several angels to exchange glances. "How's Champa doing?" A flicker of "what am I?" GHT have been amusement crossed Vados' serene features. "Lord Champa is processing the news of your ascension with his characteristic grace." "You mean he's throwing a tantrum?" Android 18 translated dryly. Vados turned her attention to the android, studying her with interest. "You must be the computational entity Son Goku has brought as advisor." "Unusual, but these are unusual times." Before 18 could respond, the entire palace shuddered violently. The map of universes on the ceiling above flickered, sections momentarily vanishing before reappearing. "The instability grows," the Grand Minister said urgently. "Son Goku, you must take your place as Omni-King to stabilize the cosmic framework." Goku looked at the floating throne with obvious reluctance. "I don't think sitting in a fank Y chair is going to fix whatever's happening. The throne is merely a focal point," Vados explained, moving closer. "Your power needs direction, purpose. Without it, the energy simply disperses chaotically throughout the multiverse." Android 18 had been silently analyzing the patterns in the ceiling. "The disruptions are following a specific sequence," she observed. "Each universe is experiencing dimensional fractures at precise intervals. There's an algorithm at work." The Grand Minister looked at her with newfound respect. "Your perceptive abilities are remarkable for a mortal." "She's not just any mortal," Goku said with unexpected seriousness. 18 has survived things that would have destroyed most beings in the universe." 18 gave him a curious look, surprised by both the compliment and his perceptiveness about her past struggles. "Goku," she said, using his name directly for perhaps the first time in their long acquaintance, "whatever's happening isn't random. Someone or something is systematically testing the boundaries between universes." Goku nodded, his expression growing focused. With visible determination, he approached the throne and, after a moment's hesitation, sat down. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Energy cascaded from the seat through the floor, walls, and ceiling of the palace. The map of the 12 universes stabilized, though disturbances still flickered across multiple sectors. "I can see everything," Goku whispered, his eyes widening as cosmic awareness flooded his consciousness fully for the first time. "Every planet, every life form, every timeline. Focus, Son Goku," Vados instructed firmly, stepping to his right side. "Direct your attention to the dimensional fractures. Visualize them healing, ceiling closed." Goku closed his eyes, concentrating. The room hummed with power as his energy extended across reality itself. Gradually, the violent tremors subsided, the fractures in the universal map beginning to close. Android 18 moved to his left side, instinctively providing balance. "The pattern is changing," she reported. "Whatever was causing the disruptions is adapting to your countermeasures." Goku's brow furrowed with effort. "It's fighting against me. But how? Nothing should be able to resist the Omni-King's power. Unless," the Grand Minister said slowly, "it comes from outside our multiverse entirely." A profound silence fell across the gathered angels. "Impossible," one of them finally stated. "The Omni-King's authority extends to all that exists. All that exists within our reality system," Vados clarified, her mind racing ahead to implications others hadn't yet considered. "If there are other multiverses, other systems of reality governed by different laws, then we might be under attack," 18 concluded grimly. "Or observation, or some kind of test." Goku opened his eyes, a determination familiar to those who knew him settling over his features. "Whatever it is, we need to find out. And if someone's threatening the universes I'm supposed to protect, they'll have to deal with me." As if in response to his declaration, the palace trembled once more, but differently this time, not from external force but from internal reconfiguration. The angels watched in astonishment as the throne room transformed, the ornate decorations simplifying, training equipment materializing in one section, and a large circular table appearing where previously there had been only ceremonial space. "The palace responds to your desires," the Grand Minister explained, observing the changes with interest. "It seems you prefer a more functional environment." Goku rose from the throne, looking somewhat embarrassed. "Sorry, I just thought it would be easier to figure this out if we could all sit together and talk, instead of me being up on that thing while everyone stands around." Several angels exchanged glances, clearly struggling to adjust to this unprecedented approach to cosmic governance. Vados, however, found herself intrigued. In all her eons of existence, the hierarchy had remained rigid and formal. The idea of approaching universal management as a collaborative exercise was entirely novel. "An unorthodox methodology," she commented, "but perhaps appropriate for unorthodox circumstances." Android 18, practical as always, had already moved to the circular table. "If we're dealing with a threat from outside our known reality, we need information. The disruption pattern might provide clues about its origin." The Grand Minister nodded approvingly. "Your analytical perspective will indeed be valuable. Android 18, I propose that you work directly with Vados, who possesses the most comprehensive knowledge of cosmic architecture among the angels." 18 glanced at the tall, blue-skinned angel with cool assessment. "Fine by me, as long as she can keep up." Vados raised an elegant eyebrow. "I believe I shall manage somehow," she replied with the faintest hint of dry humor. Goku, meanwhile, had moved to the large viewing portal that had materialized along one wall, showing real-time images of the 12 universes. "The fractures are still there," he observed, pointing to hairline cracks visible in the cosmic fabric between galaxies. "I've stabilized them for now, but they're not fully healed. A temporary solution only," the Grand Minister confirmed. "To truly address the issue, we must understand its cause." Goku turned back to the assembled cosmic entities, and for a moment, the Saiyan warrior who had risen from humble beginnings to become the strongest fighter in the universe seemed to truly grasp the mantle that had been placed upon him. "All right," he said with quiet authority that surprised even those who had known him longest. "Here's what we're going to do. Vados and 18 will analyze the disruption patterns. Whis, I need you to check on Earth and make sure my family and friends are safe." The rest of the angels should return to their universes and monitor for any new developments. Grand Minister, I'd like you to tell me everything you know about this equilibrium entity and why it chose me. The assembled cosmic beings stared at Goku in momentary shock before the Grand Minister broke into a small, approving smile. It seems the balance chose wisely after all, he observed. Very well, Omni-King. It shall be as you command. As he angels dispersed to carry out their assignments, Vados found herself re-evaluating her initial assessment of Son Goku. Perhaps there was more to this Saiyan than his battle-obsessed reputation suggested. Time would tell if the unorthodox new ruler of existence could truly bear the weight of all reality on his shoulders. One thing was certain, the cosmic order had changed irrevocably, and none could predict what would emerge from the transformation. In the vast emptiness between Universe 7 and Universe 6, where space itself thinned to near nothingness, a solitary figure drifted, observing the recent developments with interest. Neither male nor female in conventional terms, the entity's form shifted constantly, borrowing aspects from thousands of species across multiple realities. Fascinating, it murmured to the void. The Saiyan adapts more quickly than anticipated. The seed is planted. The being extended a limb that seemed to consist of pure mathematical equations given physical form. With a gesture that somehow conveyed both precision and artistry, it widened one of the fractures between universes just slightly, not enough to cause catastrophic damage, but sufficient to test the new Omni-King's response. Let us see how you handle true challenge, Son Goku, the entity whispered. The multiverse requires more than power. It needs understanding. With that, the being that had introduced itself as equilibrium dispersed into particles of probability, vanishing from conventional detection while continuing to observe from beyond the boundaries of known existence. The game had only just begun. Chapter 1 End Chapter 2, Divine Displacement. The cosmos held its breath. Across 12 universes, sentient beings paused in their daily activities, inexplicably drawn to look skyward. On countless worlds, atmospheric conditions shifted without warning. Auroras blossomed over deserts, oceans stilled to glass-like perfection, gravity fluctuated in gentle waves. No cataclysms occurred, but reality itself seemed to acknowledge that something fundamental had changed. In the sacred realm beyond conventional existence, Son Goku, newly appointed Omni-King, stood before a crystalline window that overlooked all creation, his normally carefree expression replaced by uncharacteristic concentration. The view before him wasn't merely visual, he perceived quantum fluctuations, probability waves, and the delicate cosmic architecture that supported existence itself. It's like trying to drink from a waterfall, he murmured, pressing a hand against his temple. Awareness of trillions of lives flooded his consciousness simultaneously, their joys, sorrows, triumphs, and struggles cascading through his mind in an overwhelming torrent of information. The sensation will become manageable with time, Vados explained, standing at a precise distance that balanced protocol with practicality. Previous Omni-Kings eventually developed filtering mechanisms. Goku turned, momentarily distracted from the cosmic deluge. You mean Zeno wasn't the first? Vados inclined her head slightly. The position has existed since the dawn of the multiverse, though transitions are exceedingly rare. The recorded history spans 16 previous Omni-Kings over approximately 17 billion years. 17 Omni-Kings in 17 billion years, Android 18 noted from her position at the analysis console that had materialized to accommodate her computational needs. Almost exactly 1 per billion years. That's statistically improbable. The Grand Minister, who had been quietly observing, shifted his staff to his other hand, a gesture of mild surprise. Your observation is astute, Android 18. The pattern has never been remarked upon before. Probably because angels don't think mathematically. 18 replied without looking up from her work. Your pattern recognizers, not statisticians. Vados raised an elegant eyebrow. A curious assertion from one so young. Else have observed cosmic mathematics since before your planet formed its first single-celled organism. Both perspectives have merit, the Grand Minister intervened diplomatically. Perhaps this collaborative approach will yield insights previously unavailable to us. Goku, meanwhile, had returned his attention to the cosmic view screen, his new divine senses probing the fractures that still marred the space between universes. These cracks aren't random, he observed. They're forming some kind of pattern. The transformation that had begun during his ascension continued to progress. Il Goku remained recognizably himself in appearance, still wearing his orange gi, his black hair untamed. Subtle changes manifested in his bearing and perception. Ideas and concepts previously beyond his comprehension now seemed intuitive, though the adjustment remained disorienting. What kind of pattern do you perceive, Lord Goku? The Grand Minister inquired, the formal title still sounding Str. Ainge when applied to the formerly carefree Saiyan. Goku rubbed the back of his head, a habitual gesture that provided the others with reassuring continuity amid the extraordinary circumstances. It's like they're forming a shape across all the universes. Almost like writing, but not in any language I've ever seen. Android 18 adjusted the cosmic monitoring equipment, recalibrating to match Goku's observation. The holographic display above her console shifted, compiling data from across all 12 universes simultaneously. He's right, she confirmed, surprise evident in her typically measured tone. When viewed from a pan-universal perspective, the fractures form coherent patterns. They're not random disturbances, they're deliberate communications. Vados moved gracefully to examine the display, her analytical mind processing implications at speeds that would have overwhelmed most beings. A message inscribed upon reality itself, she murmured. Such methodology suggests an entity that exists beyond conventional dimensional constraints. Can you translate it? Goku asked, approaching the console with newfound purpose. Translation requires understanding the referential framework, Vados replied. We must determine whether these symbols correspond to concepts, phonetic sounds, or something else entirely. Android 18 input a series of commands, her fingers moving within human precision across the ethereal interface. I'm cross-referencing against all known cosmic languages in the database. So far, no matches. Perhaps it's not meant to be read, the Grand Minister suggested, but felt. Goku looked up sharply, an idea forming. Like key signatures. Precisely, the Grand Minister nodded. Some ancient entities communicate through energy patterns rather than conventional symbols. Without warning, Goku closed his eyes and extended his awareness directly into the fractures themselves. The others watched as golden energy flowed from his body, connecting with the display of cosmic ruptures. Goku, 18 exclaimed, momentarily abandoning her usual reserve. That could destabilize. Her warning came too late. As Goku's consciousness touched the fractures, a surge of foreign energy rushed back through the connection. The palace trembled as reality itself seemed to bend around the Saiyan's form. Brilliant light erupted from his eyes and mouth as in format. Ion poured into him at a rate that threatened to overwhelm even his newly expanded awareness. Vados moved with supernatural speed, her staff striking the floor with a resonant chime. A barrier of azure energy formed around Goku, moderating the flow of information. Reckless, she chided, though her tone carried a hint of reluctant admiration. Typically Saiyan to dive headfirst into unknown phenomena. Is he all right? 18 demanded, moving to Goku's side with unexpected concern. The light gradually subsided, and Goku's eyes refocused. He staggered slightly, steadying himself against the console. I understood it. For a moment, I could feel what it was saying. And, the Grand Minister prompted. It's an invitation, Goku said slowly, processing the alien concepts that had been impressed upon his consciousness. This equilibrium entity wants to meet me. The fractures are coordinates. Directions to a place beyond the 12 universes. Impossible, Vados stated flatly. Nothing exists beyond the boundaries of our multiverse. Actually, the Grand Minister interjected, his normally composed features showing the faintest hint of disquiet. There are theoretical Spock's between multiverses, dimensional interstices where conventional physics cease to apply. Android 18's eyes narrowed. You're saying this entity comes from another multiverse entirely. A different system of reality. The implications are unsettling, the Grand Minister acknowledged. If equilibrium can traverse between multiversal systems, its power potentially exceeds even that of the Omni-King. A heavy silence fell over the chamber as the cosmic beings contemplated this possibility. Goku, however, showed none of their concern. Instead, his face lit up with familiar excitement. So it's really strong. That's amazing. I want to meet it right away. Vados and the Grand Minister exchanged alarmed glances. Lord Goku. Vados began carefully. Confronting an entity of unknown capabilities would be extraordinarily unwise. Particularly before you've fully acclimated to your new role. She's right, 18 added, surprising herself by agreeing with the angel. This is obviously a calculated move. The entity removed Xeno, installed you, and now wants a meeting. It's strategically suspicious. Goku's expression turned thoughtful, another sign of his ongoing transformation. Before his ascension, strategic considerations rarely factored into his decision-making. You both make good points, he conceded. But ignoring the invitation might make things worse. Those fractures are still spreading, just more slowly now. If meeting this equilibrium can help me understand how to fix them permanently, then we prepare thoroughly before any such encounter, the Grand Minister concluded. You must first stabilize your connection to the cosmic hierarchy and establish your authority among the gods of destruction. Speaking of which, Android 18 interjected, checking the monitoring systems. We have company approaching. Multiple divine energy signatures. The Grand Minister sighed almost imperceptibly. It appears the gods of destruction have grown impatient for answers. All 12 of them? Goku asked, scanning the cosmic awareness that continued to unfold within his mind. 11, Vados corrected. My Lord Champa leads the delegation, but Lord Beerus appears to be observing from a distance. Goku smiled slightly. That sounds like Beerus. Probably waiting to see if the others get obliterated before he shows up himself. Despite the gravity of the situation, Android 18's lips curved in a slight smile. Tactically sound, also cowardly. Lord Beerus is many things, but a coward is not among them, Vados remarked, though a hint of amusement softened her formal tone. He simply prefers to conserve energy whenever possible. We should meet them, Goku decided, standing straighter as he embraced the responsibilities of his position. They deserve to know what's happening to their universes. Quote, the Grand Minister nodded approvingly. A wise decision, Lord Goku. However, this meeting must observe certain protocols. The gods of destruction must acknowledge your authority formally. Goku winced visibly. Do we really need all that bowing and formal talk? Can't we just discuss things normally? Cosmic governance operates on precise hierarchical principles, Vados explained patiently. Disrupting those principles could further destabilize an already precarious situation. Fine, Goku sighed, but once the formal stuff is done, we're switching to normal conversation. I can't think straight with all that, my lord, business. Android 18 observed this exchange with fascination. The juxtaposition of Goku's casual nature against his new cosmic role created tensions no one had anticipated. Yet somehow, his straightforward approach seemed to be slowly reshaping the rigid structures around him rather than being subsumed by them. They've arrived, she announced as the palace sensors detected multiple entities materializing in the outer chambers. Goku nodded, his expression growing serious. Let's get this over with. The formal reception hall of the Omni-King's palace had witnessed countless cosmic summits over billions of years, but never one quite like this. 11 gods of destruction stood in a perfect semicircle, their appearances as varied as the universes they governed, yet united in their expressions of barely concealed apprehension. At the center of the hall, seated upon a throne that had reshaped itself to resemble something between a divine seat of power and a comfortable chair, Son Goku observed his divine visitors with uncharacteristic patience. To his right stood Vados, the epitome of celestial grace and protocol. To his left, Android 18 maintained a position that balanced respect for the proceedings with subtle defiance of traditions she found unnecessary. Champa, the corpulent feline deity of Universe 6, stepped forward first. His purple ears twitching with nervous energy. Omni-King, he began, performing an elaborate bow that strained his substantial girth. We, the gods of destruction, come seeking understanding of recent developments. Recent developments. Belmont of Universe 11 interrupted, his clown-like features arranged in an expression of indignation. The cosmic order has been completely upended. A mortal now sits on the ultimate throne. We demand explanations. You demand nothing, Vados stated coolly, tapping her staff once against the crystalline floor. The sound resonated with subtle power, reminding all present of the angel's position in the hierarchy. You request audience, which has been graciously granted. Goku raised a hand, the simple gesture immediately drawing all attention. It's okay, Vados. They have a right to be confused. I'm pretty confused myself, to be honest. This candid admission sent murmurs rippling through the assembled deities. Rumiel, the elegant, swan-like destroyer of Universe 5, tilted her feathered head curiously. You did not seek this position, Saiyan. No way, Goku replied with a short laugh. I was just training with Vegeta when all this happened. Preposterous, growled Quatella, the rodent-like god of Universe 4. The highest authority in existence bestowed upon someone who doesn't even want it. The cosmic hierarchy has gone mad. The Grand Minister, who had been observing silently, stepped forward. The entity that removed Xeno-sama identified itself as Equilibrium, and specifically selected Son Goku as successor. Its methods and motivations remain unclear, but the transfer of power is absolute and irreversible. So we're expected to simply accept this fighter as our supreme ruler. Likir, the fox-like destroyer of Universe 8, asked incredulously. You were expected to fulfill your cosmic functions, Vados replied evenly. The hierarchy remains unchanged in structure, merely in personnel. Android 18, who had been silently analyzing the gods' reactions, chose this moment to interject. Your personal preferences are irrelevant. Cosmic disruptions are threatening all 12 universes simultaneously. Your energy would be better spent addressing these threats than questioning established facts. Several destroyers bristled at being addressed so directly by a mortal, but Champa Rai said a pudgy hand to forestall their objections. The android speaks bluntly but truthfully. My universe has experienced 17 major dimensional fractures in the past 12 hours. These disturbances take precedence over matters of protocol. Precisely why I called you here, Goku said, leaning forward with renewed purpose. These fractures aren't random. They're forming a pattern across all universes, a message from whatever replaced Xeno with me. The revelation silenced even the most disgruntled deities. Eric, the insectoid god of Universe 5, clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. A pan-universal communication. Such methodology suggests capabilities beyond even Xeno-sama's known powers. Our analysis indicates the entity exists between multiverses, the Grand Minister confirmed. Quote, it has extended an invitation to Lord Goku to meet in the dimensional interstices. Which would be suicide, Likir stated flatly. To everyone's surprise, Android 18 nodded in agreement. For once, the fox makes sense. Walking into unknown territory at an entity's invitation after it's already demonstrated power to remove an Omni-King. Strategically unsound. Goku looked between 18 and the assembled destroyers. A thoughtful expression crossing his face. I appreciate the concern, but eventually I'll need to meet this equilibrium. Until then, we need to contain these fractures and prevent them from destabilizing your universes. Quote, and how do you propose to accomplish that, Saiyan? Hereth, the elegant female destroyer of Universe 2, inquired with delicate skepticism. Goku stood, and assembled deities instinctively tensed. Even without actively projecting his power, the latent energy of the Omni-King radiated from him in subtle waves that reminded everyone present of his absolute authority. Each of you will return to your universes and locate the largest fractures. I'll provide each of your angels with a portion of my energy that should temporarily seal the breaches. Meanwhile, I'll work on understanding these messages better so we can find a permanent solution. The methodical approach surprised many who knew of Goku's typically impulsive nature. Vados observed him with newfound interest, noting how the burden of cosmic responsibility was catalyzing changes in the Saiyan's thought processes. A reasonable strategy, Champa acknowledged grudgingly. But what of Xeno-sama? Is he truly gone? A palpable tension filled the chamber. Despite their fear of the childlike deity's capricious nature, the gods of destruction had existed under Xeno's rule for millions of years. His absence created existential uncertainty. I don't know, Goku admitted honestly. The entity didn't destroy him. At least, I don't think so. It felt more like a displacement. Like Xeno is somewhere else now. Fascinating, murmured Iraq of Universe 5. A cosmic reshuffling rather than destruction and creation. The Grand Minister tapped his staff, reclaiming attention. Lord, Goku must now transfer stabilizing energy to each of your angels. This process requires concentration and should not be interrupted. Understanding the dismissal for what it was, the gods of destruct. Ion performed formal bows of varying degrees of sincerity before moving to the edges of the chamber where their respective angels awaited. Goku closed his eyes, extending his hands as golden energy began to flow from his form. The Grand Minister guided the process, directing tendrils of power to each angel in turn. The celestial beings received the energy through their staffs, which glowed with intensified light. Android 18 watched the procedure with analytical interest. He's transferring power without diminishing his own, she observed quietly to Vados. That shouldn't be possible under conventional energy conservation principles. The Omni-King doesn't create or destroy energy in the conventional sense, Vados explained, her voice equally low. He exists as a nexus point for cosmic forces. What you're witnessing is redirection rather than expenditure. As the last angel received their portion of stabilizing energy, Goku opened his eyes, looking momentarily fatigued despite Vados' explanation. That takes more concentration than charging a spirit bomb, he remarked with a wry smile. The gods and angels began departing in pairs, returning to their respective universes to implement Goku's directive. Only Champa lingered, approaching Vados with obvious concern. You're not returning with me? He asked, noting her position beside Goku. I have been temporarily reassigned as direct counsel to the Omni-King. Vados informed him with practiced neutrality. Kukatail will attend you in my absence. Champa's eyes widened at the mention of a substitute angel. But, it is decided, the Grand Minister interjected gently but firmly. Vados possesses specific knowledge crucial to Lord Goku's transition. The corpulent deity looked as though he might protest further but thought better of it. With a formal bow to Goku and a last uncertain glance at Vados, he departed. As the divine energies of the visitors faded, Goku slumped slightly in his throne. That was more exhausting than I expected. You're still adjusting to cosmic awareness, the Grand Minister explained. Managing multiversal energy requires different techniques than martial key manipulation. OID-18 studied Goku with clinical precision. Your energy signature is fluctuating. The power transfer strained your control mechanisms. I'm fine, Goku insisted, straightening. Just need to figure out how all this works. It's like learning a new technique, takes practice. Vados stepped forward, her expression thoughtful. Perhaps a more structured approach to your transition would be beneficial. The angels traditionally provide specialized training to gods of destruction upon their appointment. Similar methodologies could be adapted for your unique situation. Training. Goku perked up immediately, his fatigue seemingly forgotten. That sounds great. When do we start? The Grand Minister exchanged a knowing glance with Vados. Despite his cosmic ascension, some aspects of Son Goku remained endearingly predictable. Immediately, Vados decided, beginning with meditation techniques to manage omniversal awareness. Android 18 raised an eyebrow. While you two handle the cosmic consciousness expansion, I'll continue analyzing these fracture patterns. There's something mathematically significant about their distribution that I can't quite identify yet. An excellent division of labor. The Grand Minister approved. I shall coordinate with the angels across all universes to monitor the effectiveness of the stabilization energy. As the others prepared to attend their respective tasks, Goku found himself momentarily overwhelmed by the scope of his new existence. Hours ago, he had been a Saiyan warrior with simple ambitions, to grow stronger, protect his loved ones, and enjoy a good fight. Now, the fate of all existence rested on his shoulders. Hey, 18's voice interrupted his thoughts, her tone lacking its usual edge. One step at a time, Goku. Even omnipotent beings have learning curves. He looked up, surprised by her perceptiveness and the rare use of his name. A small smile crossed his face. Right, one step at a time. As Vados led him toward the meditation chambers, Goku couldn't help but wonder what other surprises awaited him in this strange new chapter of his existence. The meditation chamber resembled nothing Goku had encountered before. Unlike the simple, austere spaces he'd used on Earth, this room seemed to exist partially outside conventional dimensions. The walls appeared solid one moment, then transparent the next, revealing glimpses of distant galaxies and cosmic phenomena. The floor beneath him felt simultaneously solid and ethereal, as though he floated while remaining perfectly grounded. This environment will help facilitate your connection to multiversal awareness, Vados explained, standing gracefully before him. The transitional nature of the space mirrors the fluid state of cosmic consciousness. Goku nodded, though his expression revealed mild confusion. So, what exactly am I supposed to do? Just sit and meditate like usual. A hint of amusement flickered across Vados's serene features. Convention. Al meditation focuses on emptying the mind. Omni-King meditation requires the opposite, expanding consciousness to encompass all realities simultaneously. That sounds complicated, Goku admitted, settling into a cross-legged position at the center of the chamber. Hence the necessity of proper instruction, Vados replied, lowering herself to sit facing him, her staff balanced perfectly across her lap. Close your eyes and focus on my voice. Goku complied, his expression growing serious as he closed his eyes. Since your ascension, you've been experiencing random influxes of cosmic awareness, Vados began, her melodic voice taking on a rhythmic quality. Rather than resisting these surges, you must learn to direct them. Imagine your consciousness as a vast ocean, and these influxes as currents within that ocean. As she spoke, Vados tapped her staff lightly against the floor. With each resonant chime, the chamber's appearance shifted, the boundaries between dimensions growing increasingly permeable. Don't try to process each individual piece of information, she continued. Instead, perceive patterns, relationships, the underlying structure of reality itself. Goku's brow furrowed in concentration. There's so much. It's like trying to hear every conversation in a city at once. An apt analogy, Vados acknowledged. But consider, when you're in a crowded room, you don't consciously process every sound. Your mind naturally filters, focusing on what's relevant while maintaining awareness of the whole. So I need to develop cosmic filters? Goku asked, his understanding beginning to crystallize. Precisely. Begin with your connection to Earth, since that's most familiar to you. Extend your awareness to encompass your home planet, but maintain focus on its overall state rather than individual details. Goku's breathing steadied as he followed her guidance. Gradually, his expression relaxed as he found the balance Vados described, awareness without overwhelming specificity. I can feel it, he murmured. Earth. Everyone's going about their day. There's worry, confusion about the strange phenomena, but no immediate danger. Excellent, Vados approved. Now expand that awareness to your solar system, then your galaxy, maintaining the same balanced perception. As Goku's consciousness expanded under Vados's guidance, the chamber responded to his progress. Constellations materialized around them, galactic clusters forming and dissolving like schools of cosmic fish. Unbeknownst to the meditating Saiyan, his own appearance subtly shifted, his skin occasionally becoming translucent, revealing golden energy flowing through his form like luminescent blood. Vados observed these changes with scientific interest. In all her billions of years, he had never witnessed a mortal's transformation into a cosmic entity. The process defied conventional celestial protocols, yet proceeded with its own elegant logic. Your adaptation rate exceeds all projected models, she noted, breaking the meditative silence. Most ascended beings require centuries to achieve what you've accomplished in hours. Goku opened his eyes, which momentarily glowed white golden light before returning to their normal dark hue. Really? It just feels like learning a new key technique, but bigger. That perspective may be precisely why you're adapting so efficiently, Vados theorized. You're approaching cosmic awareness as an extension of your martial abilities rather than an entirely new state of being. Goku stretched, rolling his shoulders as though after a satisfying workout. It's all about energy control in the end. Just on a much bigger scale. Vados found herself intrigued by his simplistic yet fundamentally accurate assessment. Angels spent millennia studying the complex theological and philosophical implications of cosmic power, yet this former mortal reduced it to practical application with remarkable effectiveness. Your martial background provides unique advantages, she acknowledged. However, Omni-King responsibilities extend beyond energy manipulation. There are diplomatic, administrative, and judgmental aspects that require different competencies. Goku's expression grew more serious. Yeah, that's the part I'm worried about. Fighting powerful opponents is one thing. Making decisions that affect trillions of lives is something else entirely. The candid admission of uncertainty surprised Vados. Gods of destruction typically approached their roles with absolute confidence, often unearned. This humility suggested depths to Son Goku that his carefree demeanor typically obscured. Perhaps that concern itself demonstrates your suitability, she observed. Those most qualified to wield power are frequently those most aware of its weight. Goku looked at her with renewed interest. You know, you remind me a little of Whis, but you think about things differently. He's always focused on balance and rules. You seem more interested in, I don't know, the why of things. Vados tilted her head slightly, her pale blue features revealing mild surprise at his perception. An astute observation. Angels develop distinct, philosophical perspectives over their long existence. Whis excels at maintaining established systems. I tend to question why those systems exist in their current form. Is that why you were assigned to help me instead of him? Goku asked. Partially, Vados confirmed. Your ascension represents unprecedented change in the cosmic hierarchy. Adapting to such change requires flexibility of thought. That comes more naturally to some angels than others. Goku nodded thoughtfully. Makes sense. So what's next in my Omni-King training? Before Vados could respond, the chamber's walls pulsed with crimson light, a universal alert signal. Both beings rose immediately to their feet. Something's wrong, Goku stated, extending his newly honed awareness. The fractures, they're changing. Android 18 worked with mechanical precision at the Cosmic Monitoring Station, her enhanced systems processing multiversal data at speeds that would have overwhelmed conventional computers. For hours, he had analyzed the fracture patterns spreading across the 12 universes, seeking the mathematical principles underlying their distribution. Cross-referencing dimensional coordinates against temporal fluctuation rates. She murmured to herself, fingers dancing across ethereal interfaces that responded to her touch as though eager to please. Applying non-Euclidean transformation matrices to account for spatial curvature. The Grand Minister observed her work from a respectful distance, impressed by the android's analytical capabilities. Your computational methodologies are quite advanced for Earth technology. I'm not Earth technology, 18 replied without looking up from her calculations. Dr. Gero combined alien components with experimental quantum processors. Even he didn't fully understand what he created. Fascinating, the Grand Minister commented. Self-evolving computational systems are exceedingly rare in the multiverse. Most civilizations that develop such technology are eventually replaced by it. This comment finally drew 18's attention away from her work. Is that a threat assessment? Merely an observation, the Grand Minister clarified. Your integrity on of mechanical enhancement with biological consciousness represents a balanced approach most species fail to achieve. 18 studied him briefly before returning to her analysis. Balance isn't what Gero had in mind. He wanted perfect killing machines. Ironic that his creations ended up protecting the world he wanted destroyed. Many cosmic entities find their purpose diverges from their creator's intentions. The Grand Minister noted philosophically. Angels, for instance, were originally conceived as mere administrative assistants to the gods of destruction. And now you're the real power behind the throne, 18 observed shrewdly. Advisors who outlive the advised eventually become the decision makers. A faint smile crossed the Grand Minister's features. Your perspective is refreshingly direct, Android 18. Most beings would hesitate to make such observations to my face. Most beings fear consequences. I don't, she replied simply. Immortal entities like yourself develop predictable psychological patterns. You value honesty precisely because you're surrounded by sycophants. The Grand Minister's response was interrupted by a sudden alert from the monitoring system. The whole graphic display pulsed urgently as new data flooded in. The fractures are changing configuration, 18 announced, immediately refocusing on the crisis. The pattern is shifting, becoming more complex. The display showed golden fissures across all 12 universes simultaneously realigning, forming new connections and geometries. What had previously appeared as scattered cracks now began to assemble an intricate cosmic circuit board. It's responding, 18 realized, her eyes widening slightly. To Goku's energy transfer. It's adapting. The Grand Minister moved closer, studying the display with growing concern. These new configurations are focusing on specific points in each universe. Almost like targeting coordinates, 18 finished grimly. Whatever this entity is, it's FYING strategic locations across all universes simultaneously. At that moment, Goku and Vados materialized in the chamber, having teleported directly from their meditation session. The fractures are changing, Goku stated immediately. I can feel them realigning. They're responding to your earlier intervention, 18 confirmed, highlighting specific areas on the display. Each universe now OWS concentrated fracture activity around particular locations. In Universe 7, the focus is Earth. Goku interrupted, his expression darkening. I can sense it. The largest concentration is forming directly above my planet. Vados studied the display with critical precision. Similar patterns appear in each universe, primarily concentrating near planets with high levels of divine activity or historical significance. It's targeting places important to cosmic balance, the Grand Minister concluded. Or perhaps, places important to me, Goku said quietly. Earth, Planet Sadala in Universe 6 where the Saiyans still exist. Planet Serial where Bardock once fought. Android 18 looked up sharply. How would this entity know your personal history? If it exists between multiverses and can remove an Omni-King, accessing historical records would be trivial, Vados reasoned. The question is why target these locations specifically? Goku's expression hardened with uncharacteristic intensity. It's challenging me, testing how I'll respond when things I care about are threatened. A cosmic personality assessment, the Grand Minister agreed. Equilibrium wants to understand how you'll wield Omni-King authority in situations of personal significance. Android 18 entered a rapid sequence of commands, enhancing the visualization of Earth's fracture pattern. The configuration is different from the others. More complex, almost like it's waiting for something. For me, Goku stated with sudden certainty. It wants me to go there personally. Which could be precisely the trap it's setting. Vados cautioned. You've only begun to master your cosmic awareness. Entering a manipulated environment could compromise your control. Goku turned to face her directly, and for a moment, the simple fighter from Earth was replaced by something ancient and powerful, the Omni-King persona emerging more fully than before. I won't hide in this palace while Earth is threatened, he stated. His voice resonating with subtle authority. But I won't go unprepared either. He turned to Android 18. You've been analyzing these fractures better than anyone. I want you to come with me. 18 raised an eyebrow. Why me and not one of the angels? They have more experience with cosmic threats. Because you see patterns differently, Goku explained. You notice things they miss. Because you don't have millions of years of assumptions clouding your judgment. The Grand Minister nodded thoughtfully. A sound tactical assessment. Fresh perspective often reveals solutions invincible to those with established viewpoints. I will accompany you as well, Vados declared, her tone making it clear this wasn't a request. Your training remains incomplete. Facing an entity of Equilibrium's capabilities requires guidance. Goku didn't argue, recognizing the wisdom in her position. All right, the three of us will go to Earth and investigate these fractures directly. Grand Minister, can you continue coordinating with the other universes? If this is happening on multiple worlds simultaneously, we need to know if they're all behaving the same way. Of course, Lord Goku, the Grand Minister agreed. A hint of approval in his voice at the Saiyan's developing command presence. I shall also alert the gods of destruction to maintain vigilance but avoid direct intervention until we better understand the situation. Goku nodded, then turned to his two companions. Let's go see what this equilibrium wants. Earth's stratosphere shimmered with unnatural luminescence. Olden fractures in reality had appeared approximately 12 kilometers above the planet's surface, forming a complex latticework that now spanned the entire globe. Scientists worldwide recorded unprecedented gravitational anomalies, while religious leaders proclaimed either apocalypse or transcendence depending on their theological inclinations. At Capsule Corporation headquarters, Bulma Brief stared at monitoring equipment she'd hastily assembled, blue hair disheveled from hours of frantic work. The energy signature doesn't match anything in our database, she informed the gathered Z fighters. It's not key, not mechanical, not radiation. It's like the laws of physics themselves are being rewritten in those areas. Vegeta stood with arms crossed, scowling at the readings. It began after Kakarot transformed. Whatever he's become is connected to these disturbances. Dad wouldn't hurt Earth, Gohan objected, adjusting his glasses as he studied the data. This has to be related to whatever entity changed him in the first place. Piccolo, meditating near the window, opened his eyes suddenly. Something's coming. Powerful presences. The group tensed, preparing for potential threat, only to relax slightly as familiar energy signatures materialized. In a flash of golden light, Goku appeared in the center of the room, flanked by Android 18 and a tall, blue-skinned female figure unknown to most present. "Dad," Gohan exclaimed, moving forward before stopping uncertainly. Something about his father's presence now commanded instinctive respect, an authoritative aura that hadn't existed before. "Hey everyone," Goku greeted with his characteristic warmth, though his eyes reflected awareness beyond his former self. "Sorry about disappearing like that. Things have been complicated." "Complicated doesn't begin to cover it," Bulma retorted, hands on hips. "The entire planet's going crazy with those fractures in the sky. Every government on Earth is in panic mode." Vegeta stepped forward, studying Goku with narrow-eyed assessment. "So it's true. You've become the new Omni-King." A murmur ran through the room as those who hadn't heard confirmed the extraordinary news. "Yeah," Goku acknowledged, rubbing the back of his head in familiar gesture that reassured his friends. "Still getting used to it myself." "And who is this?" Chi-Chi asked, eyeing Vados with undisguised suspicion. "Vados, angel attendant to Universe 6, the celestial being introduced herself with formal precision. "I have been assigned to guide Lord Goku through his transition to Omni-King status." Chi-Chi's eyes narrowed further. "Guide him? What exactly does that entail?" "Cosmic awareness management, multiversal governance principles, dimensional manipulation techniques," Vados listed matter-of-factly. "The standard Omni-King educational curriculum, abbreviated for emergency circumstances." Android 18 stepped forward, cutting through the tension with characteristic directness. "We need access to your monitoring equipment, Bulma. Earth is being specifically targeted by whatever entity placed Goku in power." Bulma blinked, professional interest immediately overriding other concerns. "Of course. I've been recording these anomalies since they appeared. The fracture pattern changed dramatically about 2 hours ago." She led them to her laboratory, where holographic displays showed the global distribution of reality fractures. Android 18 immediately began interfacing with the system, her cybernetic components connecting directly with Bulma's technology. "The RN is evolving faster here than in other universes," she observed. "Earth is definitely the primary focus." Vados studied the display with analytical precision. "These configurations resemble ancient cosmic glyphs. Though significantly modified, they appear to be forming a dimensional gateway." "A gateway to where?" Piccolo asked, having followed the group into the lab. "The dimensional interstices," Vados replied. "The spaces between multiverses where conventional physics cease to apply." Goku placed a hand against the display, his expression thoughtful. "It's inviting me to step through. To meet equilibrium directly, which could be suicide," Vegeta growled. "Even for an Omni-King." "Maybe," Goku acknowledged, "but ignoring the invitation might be worse. These fractures are still spreading, just more slowly. If they continue, they could eventually destabilize Earth completely." "You can't seriously be considering walking into an obvious trap," Chi-Chi protested, fear evident beneath her anger. Goku turned to his wife, his expression softening. "Chi-Chi, I have to do something. As Omni-King, I'm responsible for protecting all 12 universes now. But Earth will always be my home. And I won't let anything happen to it." The simple sincerity of his statement silenced further objections. Despite his transformation into a cosmic being, Goku's essential nature, his desire to protect, remained unchanged. "The gateway appears to be designed for a single entity," Vados observed, analyzing the energy patterns. "Specifically calibrated to Lord Goku's new energy signature. So he has to go alone." Bulma concluded grimly. "That definitely sounds like a trap." Android 18 straightened from her analysis of the data. "Not necessarily alone. The calibration accommodates variance within specific parameters. Theoretically, individuals whose energy signatures complement the Omni-King's could pass through as well, though not without risk." "Meaning?" Gohan prompted. "Meaning I could potentially accompany him." 18 explained. My cybernetic energy pattern exists partially outside conventional key spectrums, creating a harmonic complementarity with Goku's cosmic signature. Vados nodded slowly. The android's assessment is correct. Her unique energy composition might allow passage. I could potentially follow as well, though angel energies interact with dimensional boundaries in unpredictable ways. So the three of us go, Goku decided, newfound authority evident in his tone. Me, 18, and Vados. We meet this equilibrium entity and find out what it wants and how to stop these fractures from spreading. Quote, and if it's hostile? Piccolo asked the question everyone was thinking. Goku's expression turned serious. Then I'll do whatever necessary to protect the universes I'm responsible for. Being Omni-King means making tough decisions. The room fell silent at this declaration. The carefree fighter they had known for years was still present in Goku's mannerisms and warmth. But underneath lay something new, a profound understanding of responsibility that transcended his former self. The gateway will reach complete formation in approximately 47 minutes, Android 18 announced. Checking the calculations. We should prepare. As the others discussed technical aspects of the impending journey, Chi-Chi approached her husband, concern etched across her features. You've changed, she said quietly. Not just your power, but something deeper. Goku smiled gently. I'm still me, Chi-Chi. Just with a bigger job now. Will you come back? She asked. The simple question containing layers of meaning they both understood. Always, he promised. No matter what happens, no matter what I become, I'll always find my way back home. The sincerity in his voice reassured her somewhat, though worry remained. With a nod of acceptance, she stepped back, allowing him to continue preparations for the unprecedented journey ahead. Across the room, Vados observed this interaction with thoughtful interest. The concept of mortal attachment had always seemed somewhat abstract to angels, whose existence spanned billions of years. Yet there was something undeniably powerful in the connections this Saiyan maintained despite his cosmic ascension. The gateway's energy is intensifying, 18 announced, interrupting her contemplation. We should move to the coordinates now. Goku nodded, addressing the gathered friends and family. We'll be back as soon as we can. Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, protect Earth while I'm gone. Just like old times, Pi. Kalo remarked with a hint of sardonic humor. Except the idiot we're waiting for is now god of everything, Vegeta added, though his usual bite was tempered with something resembling respect. Goku grinned, momentarily looking exactly like his old self. Some things never change, huh? With final farewells exchanged, Goku placed a hand on 18's shoulder while Vados touched her staff to his back. In a flash of golden light, the trio vanished, teleporting to the heart of the dimensional disturbance hovering above Earth's atmosphere. They materialized 12 kilometers above the planet's surface, suspended within the heart of the fracture network. From this vantage point, the golden fissures appeared even more intricate, a vast, three-dimensional mandala of cosmic energy surrounding them in every direction. The gateway is nearly complete, Vados observed, her staff pulsing with light as she analyzed their surroundings. The dimensional boundaries are already growing permeable. Android 18 hovered beside them, her enhanced vision cataloging the complex patterns. The fracture configuration is operating on 17 simultaneous mathematical principles. It's like nothing in any known cosmic architecture. Goku extended his awareness, feeling the strange energies flow around and through him. It recognizes me, he noted with surprise. The gateway is responding to my presence. As if confirming his observation, the golden fractures began to pulse in rhythm, the pattern accelerating until the individual fissures blurred into a continuous glow. At the center of the formation, reality itself began to fold inward, creating what appeared to be a tunnel of pure light. It's opening, Vados stated, her normally composed voice carrying a hint of apprehension. Lord Goku, you must establish protective barriers around yourself and the android before entering. The dimensional interstices exist beyond conventional physics. Unshielded exposure could be catastrophic. Goku nodded, concentrating as golden energy flowed from his form, enveloping both himself and 18 in protective auras. How's that? Adequate for initial transition, Vados confirmed after careful assessment. My own celestial nature provides inherent protection, though even angels avoid these regions when possible. Comforting, 18 remarked dryly. Any other warnings before we step into the interdimensional void? Time and space operate differently between multiverses, Vados explained. What feels like moments may be hours or days in conventional reality. Maintain constant awareness of your physical and energy states. If either begins to destabilize, we must retreat immediately. Goku studied the swirling portal with determined focus. Ready. At their affirmative responses, he took a deep breath and moved forward. As the three beings approached the center of the gateway, the golden light intensified, enveloping them completely. For a disorienting moment, all sensation ceased, no sight, sound, or physical feeling registered in their consciousness. Then reality reasserted itself, though in forms unlike anything they had experienced before. They stood, if standing, describe their state correctly, upon a surface that appeared solid yet flowed like liquid crystal beneath them. Around them stretched a landscape defying conventional description, structures that resembled architecture but constantly rearranged themselves, colors beyond the visible spectrum somehow perceivable to their enhanced senses, distant horizons that seemed simultaneously infinitely far and immediately present. The dimensional interstices, Vados whispered, her celestial composure momentarily shaken by the sheer alien nature of their surroundings. Few beings have ever witnessed these regions and maintained their sanity. Android 18 performed rapid calculations, her enhanced systems adapting to the impossible environment. Conventional spatial metrics are inapplicable. We exist in approximately mately 27 dimensions simultaneously. Goku, surprisingly, appeared the least disoriented of the three. His new Omni-King senses processed the environment with unexpected ease. It feels familiar somehow. Like I've been here before. Impossible, Vados stated. No Omni-King has ever entered the interstices. These regions exist beyond even Zeno-sama's authority. And yet, here you stand. Came a voice from everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. The new guardian of balance takes his first steps beyond the boundaries of his appointed realm. Before them, reality shifted and coalesced into a vaguely humanoid figure. Its form constantly changed, sometimes appearing crystalline, sometimes fluid, sometimes as pure mathematical equations given temporary physical manifestation. Its eyes remained constant, ancient beyond reckoning, studying the visitors with scientific curiosity. Equilibrium, Goku stated rather than asked, instinctively recognizing the entity that had transformed his existence. A name your reality can process, the being acknowledged. Though names hold little meaning in the spaces between. Android 18 positioned herself slightly in front of Goku. A protective gesture born from tactical assessment rather than emotional response. You've caused significant damage to 12 universes with your message. Was destroying cosmic stability necessary to arrange this meeting? The entity's form rippled with something resembling amusement. Perspective is subjective, mechanical one. What you perceive as damage, others might recognize as necessary recalibration. Recalibration for what purpose? Vados inquired, her staff held ready though she understood the futility of conventional defense in this realm. Evolution, Equilibrium replied simply. The space around them shifted, forming images of countless universes, multiverses, reality systems extending beyond comprehension. Your 12 universes exist within a single multiversal system, one of many. For eons, this system has remained static, unchanging, ruled by a child deity who maintains superficial balance through capricious destruction. Zeno, Goku said, what did you do with him? Relocated to a position better suited to his development stage, Equilibrium answered. The previous Omni-King fulfilled his purpose for a time, but cosmic evolution requires new guardianship now. Vados stepped forward, her celestial nature allowing her to comprehend implications beyond her companions. You speak of cosmic evolution as though reality itself were a living organism. An apt analogy, Equilibrium confirmed. Multiverses are indeed living systems, bound by laws yet capable of growth, adaptation, even reproduction under correct circumstances. Android 18's eyes narrowed as she processed this information. And Goku's appointment serves what function in this cosmic organism? The entity's form shifted again, resolving into something more defined, still fluid but recognizably humanoid with features suggesting ancient wisdom. Catalysis, it stated. Son Goku represents a unique convergence of qualities never before united in a cosmic guardian. Born mortal, yet transcending mortal limitations repeatedly. Possessing immense power yet retaining compassion. Understanding destruction yet valuing creation. Goku listened intently, his expression unusually serious. So you made me Omni-King because you think I'll do things differently than Zeno. I appointed you Omni-King because the cosmic balance itself selected you, equilibrium corrected. I merely facilitated the transition. The multiversal system requires evolution now, an evolution only possible under guardianship that understands transformation. The fractures, 18 interjected. They're not just messages or gateways. They're changing the fundamental structure of our universes, aren't they? Equilibrium's form pulsed with approval. The mechanical one perceives correctly. The fractures introduce new elements into your multiversal system, catalysts for necessary evolutionary processes long suppressed under previous governance. Vados's expression showed rare alarm. You're altering the cosmic constants themselves. Such changes could destabilize entire reality systems, or allow them to evolve beyond current limitations, equilibrium countered. Stability and stagnation often wear identical masks, Angel. Goku had remained uncharacteristically quiet during this exchange, processing implications with his newly expanded awareness. Now he stepped forward, golden energy flowing visibly beneath his skin. I understand wanting things to grow and change, he said carefully. But forcing evolution too quickly can cause harm. If these fractures continue spreading, innocent lives in all 12 universes will suffer. Equilibrium studied him with ancient eyes. And what would you propose, new guardian? Work with me instead of around me, Goku replied with surprising diplomacy. If changes need to happen, let's find ways that don't endanger existing life. I'm not against evolution. I've spent my whole life getting stronger, changing, adapting. But I've always protected those who couldn't protect themselves. The entity remained silent for what seemed like eternity, though time itself held little meaning in this place. Finally, it spoke again. Your response confirms the selection criteria. Equilibrium stated. Very well, Son Goku. I shall stabilize the current fractures and cease creating new ones, on one condition. Which is? Vados asked cautiously. That, the new Omni-King commits to guiding true cosmic evolution rather than merely maintaining the status quo, Equilibrium answered. The multiverse requires balance between stability and change, not the static preservation Zeno enforced. Goku considered this carefully. I can't promise to make changes without understanding what they mean for the people I'm responsible for. But I can promise to listen, to learn, and to always put the well-being of all life first in my decisions. Again, the entity was silent, evaluating his response. Then, to the surprise of all three visitors, it bowed slightly. Acceptable, it declared. The fractures will stabilize within 7 rotations of your planet. I shall return in one celestial cycle to evaluate progress and provide guidance if required. Before any of them could respond, the environment around them began to dissolve. Equilibrium's form fragmented into countless particles of light as it offered a final statement. Remember, Omni-King Goku. True balance is not the absence of change, but its proper direction. Your greatest challenge will not be mastering cosmic power, but deciding how that power should transform reality itself. With those words, the dimensional interstices vanished, and the three beings found themselves once again hovering above Earth's atmosphere. Below them, the golden fractures had already begun to stabilize, the chaotic energy resolving into harmonic patterns. Did that really just happen? Goku asked, looking between his companions. Android 18 ran diagnostic calculations before responding. Unless we experienced identical hallucinations, yes. We just negotiated with an entity that exists beyond our multiverse and considers reality itself a living organism in need of evolution. Vados stared at the stabilizing fractures, her ancient mind processing implications beyond her companion's comprehension. In all my billions of years, she said quietly, I have never encountered anything like equilibrium. The very existence of such an entity challenges everything angels understand about cosmic hierarchy. Goku looked thoughtful, his transformed consciousness still adapting to everything he had learned. So I've been made Omni-King to help the multiverse evolve. What does that even mean? It means, Vados replied carefully, that your appointment may have far greater significance than merely replacing Xeno-sama. You may be the catalyst for changes beyond anything we can currently comprehend. Android 18 studied Goku with analytical precision. The entity seemed confident you were the right choice. It validated something it called selection criteria, based on your response. Great, Goku sighed, running a hand through his unruly hair. No pressure or anything, despite the gravity of the situation. Both Vados and 18 found themselves experiencing unexpected reactions, the angel with a small smile, the android with a short, rare laugh. What? Goku asked, looking between them in confusion. Only you, Goku, 18 explained, shaking her head slightly, could become god of everything, meet a being from beyond reality itself, and respond with no pressure. Indeed, Vados agreed, her melodic voice carrying a hint of newfound respect. Perhaps that perspective itself is why Equilibrium considers you uniquely qualified for what lies ahead. Goku looked down at Earth, his home, still beautiful and fragile despite his cosmic awareness of countless other worlds. Well, whatever happens next, at least Earth is safe for now. Let's go tell everyone the good news. As EY descended toward Capsule Corporation where their friends awaited, Goku found himself contemplating Equilibrium's final words. True balance was not the absence of change, but its proper direction. Changes might lie ahead for the 12 universes under his guardianship. And was he truly ready to guide cosmic evolution itself? Only time, perhaps more time than even angels could comprehend, would tell. Chapter 2 End.